Hey guys, welcome back. Lazarus here for Tuts Plus, and in this part we're going to go ahead, or the next couple of parts, we're going to go ahead and start working on these pieces for Wally's threads. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just going to show around roughly what we're going to be creating. So we're going to create these screws, this cylinder, this outer rim, this little stuff that will go in between here that doesn't exactly line up properly, but that's okay. So later on we can always adjust that, and we're going to also create the inner piece. Then we're going to duplicate them over so we get the same thing on the other side, and we're also going to create these smaller sort of wheels. We're probably going to change these so they're not going to look exactly the same, because basically all I did is duplicate this piece over. Okay, but we're gonna, to the final version, we're gonna make some changes to this piece, but roughly it's gonna look pretty much the same. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is we're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna go ahead and delete these, and I'm just gonna go ahead and go to edit, delete all by type history, just so I get a clean file. So last time we left off just with the threads and these inner sort of tracks that we created, and now we're going to go ahead and move on to these pieces. Okay, I do have a different reference on my other screen that you guys can't see, but hopefully if you just go on Google and type in Wally, you should get some pretty good images that you can work off for the threads. So we're going to sort of want to use the reference for scale, just so we get it the right size, but like this in a ring and so on, we're not going to really model that in. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is I think we actually can go ahead and hide off our threads, and we're going to go ahead and work on this outer rim. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with a pipe, and I'm going to drag it to around here. And notice how I'm only doing it to like the inner white line, and I'm just going to drag our random height for now and edit the thickness, so it's going to be roughly that thick, and I'm just going to make sure that this sits in the center and scale it down, because I want this inner rim to sit near the white line. Okay, and the extrusion that we're going to make is going to come to the outer white line, so this is just a little difference that we're going to add. We're also going to go ahead and change the subdivision, probably about 42, and this is where it kind of, when we go ahead and add the little spikes later on, that will probably be around 42 as well, but we're going to have to go and see how it works out, but 42 gives us a fairly smooth result. Let's just have a look at it, and it looks okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add this little extrusion that comes around this edge. So it's going to be fairly simple to create. We're going to go to our edit mesh panel, and I'm just going to go insert edge loop tool, and we're going to add one roughly around the middle, probably a little bit further to this side like so. That might be a bit too much. Roughly to the middle, bit to the right, but not too much. Okay, we're going to go into our front view and just go into my face mode, select all of these, and that might not work out very well because we got these selected as well. Basically, we only want to extrude these rings around here, so I'm just going to go ahead and deselect all of these fairly quickly. Actually, that selected the inner rim as well, so instead what we're going to do is we're going to try to select it this way. So if I just shift double click, it should come around, okay, like so, and then we can go ahead and extrude this. I'm just going to use the thickness. If I find it, it's probably going to be in here, so instead I'm just going to use the scale tool to scale this out. So I'm going to go back into my side view and try to line it up roughly with that white line. Okay, like so. So we got our basic shape that we are looking for, and we can go ahead and start adding stuff to this. So you can go ahead and add in the edge loops that we need, so this will keep its shape. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to start off in this corner and work my way around, and hopefully you can cover quite a lot in this part, because it's a fairly simple thing to create, so I don't want to take too much time on creating this. Hopefully you guys know most of the stuff off by heart of how you would go on about creating this already. You can actually, I think, go ahead and delete that edge loop here, like so, and then we go ahead and add in the rest of the loops that we need. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit smooth and see if we get the result that we need. There we go. Okay, so that looks quite nice. Now the next thing we're going to do is actually going to go ahead and create the inner piece of this, and I think we're just going to go ahead and start off with the cylinder for that. So I'm just going to go back into my side view and drag one out roughly from the middle again. I only give it a tiny bit of height, not too worried about that for now. And again, for this as well, we're going to go ahead and add 42 axes. Might be a bit too much, but it should be okay. And I want it to have a tiny little gap in between the two pieces, so I don't want to scale it up too much. Okay, so that will do just fine, like so. And now we can go ahead and start extruding bits and bobs that we need. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is I'm just going to go ahead and isolate this, go into my front view, and I'm going to go ahead and select all the faces and then hold down shift and deselect those faces, and that way I get all the front faces selected. And we can come out of our isolation mode, and I'm going to go ahead and hit extrude and then pull in the scale a bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and start dragging it out. Okay, and I'm kind of doing this off by heart. Well, off by heart, I mean by using my eye. So using my reference, I'm trying to make the right sort of bend to it. Okay, so I'm going to extrude again, drag it in like so, and then go ahead and drag this out a bit more. I think I might go ahead and drag this one out a bit more again. So I'm going to do one more, drag it out. I think I haven't really moved them too much to the side, so I think we might have to go ahead and adjust that. Before that, we're going to go ahead and move this into a right position. So I'm just going to go ahead in my front view, and I'm just going to drag it exactly where that other piece is. And if I go into my front view and turn on X-ray, I can sort of see how far this is coming along. So what I'm going to do, sorry, my voice is going. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select this loop and go back into my front view, turn on X-ray, and we're going to go ahead and drag this out a bit more. Going to do the same thing with this, and the same thing with this piece. If that would select the right thing. And I'm getting that little bit of a tearing in there because that vertex is not selected. So I think I'm going to go ahead and hold down Control and then go to 2 vertices. And now I'm going to select this middle vertex as well, go back into a front view, turn X-ray on, and now I should be able to move it a bit more. So I kind of want this piece to line up with the outer rim of this. So this, if I go ahead and smooth it, we should get a fairly smooth result. Now in here, this does have a little rim to it, a little insert. So we're going to go ahead and add that in. So I'm going to have to go ahead and select these faces. And I think this edge I might have moved it out a bit too much. So I'm just going to push it back a little bit. Maybe a little bit more. Then again, I forgot to select that inner vertex. So just going to undo that. Select this loop again. Control, and then go to vertices and select this inner vertex as well. Just push them in a little bit. Okay, somewhere around there should do the trick. And now we're going to go ahead and select these faces, and we're going to add in that extrusion that we're looking for. And there we go. And I'm just going to extrude, scale inwards. And now we're going to go ahead and extrude this again. I think it's going to be easier for us to do this, and then we're going to go ahead and select all of these faces, and we're going to extrude these. Oops, not that one, not that one, that one. There we are. And I'm just going to hit extrude, and we're going to push this in a little bit. Probably around that much will do. And then now we're just going to go around and add in the loops that we need. Or actually, yeah, might as well do that. We forgot to add in the supporting edges around here, which is going to be a little bit of a pain in a minute. I think we might have to do that right now, because now that this is on, these are triangles, or actually these, we made these into quads, so we can actually add in the loop around here, but we can't add in the loop around here, so we're just going to have to go ahead and select these faces again, which is a little bit of a pain. Sorry about that. Hopefully if you're not doing it and watching it at the same time, then you can learn from this mistake. Let's go ahead and quickly select these. I'm going to extrude, scale, drag in, just so you get that loop, and then I can go ahead and select all of these edges and faces. Not this one. Okay, and now we can go ahead and extrude this, and instead, so I don't have to add in more edge loops, I'm going to push it in just a bit so you get that loop, and extrude again, move in, and extrude one more time, move in just a bit. Okay, and that way I get that loop there as well. And now we're going to extrude it one more time and scale. You're just going to push in so we get that bottom two edge loops as well. Okay, this way once we go ahead and smooth it, this should look pretty cool. So now that bit is done, we're just going to go ahead and isolate this piece and add in these edge loops at the end. So I'm going to need one around here, and around here, and there, and we're going to have to go ahead and select these faces again. So I'm going to undo that loop just so it's going to be easier or faster for me to select them. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of these faces, and I hold down shift and deselect those in the middle, and that way I get these faces selected, so I can just extrude, scale and pull in a little bit. Okay, so this way it's a lot faster, and we can just use the insert edge loop tool to go ahead and add in that loop around there, and hopefully this piece will look pretty good. Okay, so this corner here looks a little bit too soft, so I think we're going to go ahead and add in an extra loop. So we're gonna have to go ahead and select all these faces again, which is a little bit of a pain because we added 42 subdivisions, so it takes a bit of time. So select them and then extrude, and I'm just going to scale it in once more, and hopefully this will hold that corner a little bit nicer. And I think we're also going to go ahead and add in one loop in here in the middle. Like so. It seems like there isn't a loop down here, which is a bit weird. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. We're going to keep that as it is, come out of isolation mode, and we get our sort of inner piece that we're looking for. So now what we're going to do is, I think we're going to go ahead and make this a tiny bit bigger, because I think this gap is too big, so I'm just going to scale this up a bit. And again, move it in the right position. And I'm just going to look around in my perspective. Yeah, that looks a bit better. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and quickly add in the bolts that we need. So just going to go into my side view, turn X-ray on, and as you can tell, the bolts look massive on the reference, so we're not going to make them that big. We're just going to use a pipe again, so we're going to drag one out around here. Now I'm aiming for the size of the inner bit of the reference, so not the white line all the way outside. So just going to drag out height and drag out thickness. And my slider is too big, so I'm going to slow that down, go back to my inputs in the poly pipe, and now I can play with the thickness again to get the right amount. Probably that will do. Around there maybe. So now I'm just going to turn on X-ray, and I'm going to move this pipe out just to see roughly how this is going to look. Yeah, that looks about the right size. So now we can go ahead and I'm just going to isolate this and quickly go ahead and add in all the loops that we need, so you can go ahead and smooth it. And then we can go ahead and duplicate this around, so we get all the screws that we need. Okay, so let's go ahead and smooth this. That looks pretty good. I'll come out of my isolation, and now I'm going to go into my side view, turn on X-ray, and select this pipe, move it in the right position. And I'm going to go ahead, before I go ahead and duplicate, I'm just going to name this thread wheel screw 1, and now I'm gonna hit Control D to duplicate it. And actually, before we do that, just to make our life a bit easier, you're gonna go ahead and press Insert on our keyboard, and you're gonna go ahead and put the pivot roughly in the middle, hit Insert again, and now we can press Control D, duplicate, and now I'm gonna rotate it roughly, it seems like about 45 degrees. And now if we press Shift D, well, we're not there, it should rotate it 45 degrees again. So I can just carry on and press Shift D again, and again, and it should have duplicated them around all the way. Okay, So now I can come out back into perspective, turn on X-ray, and just see how that looks. It looks pretty good. I might go ahead and I'm just going to group all of these together and name it thread wheel screws, like so. And I can just go ahead and I think I can move them in a bit more after I go ahead and center the pivot. So not too much, just a little bit. Okay, so that looks great. The last piece that we're going to go ahead and add before we run out of time is there are some little sort of squares in here, so that should be pretty simple to add. It's on our reference as well actually, so as you can tell these bits. So we're just going to go ahead and literally make a rectangle roughly this size, give it some height, and drag in the right position. And you're going to go ahead and drag this outwards just so you get a sense of where this is going to sit. And I want it to have a quite big gap here, so I don't want it right at the edge. So I want it somewhere around there. That looks great. Okay, but again, you can go ahead and play around with this. So now we can just go ahead and isolate this and literally just add in quickly the edge loops. I'm not going to play around with it too much, because most of it is going to be hidden. So if you want it to do it properly, you could go ahead and select this bottom edge and drag it up so it doesn't intersect with the mesh that much. But for me to save some time, I'm just going to ignore that piece because it's not going to be seen anyway, unless Wally's gonna, I don't know, completely fall apart and you want that much detail in them. So now I added all the loops. You can go ahead and smooth this. Okay, and what we're gonna do again is just go into my side view. I'm gonna go ahead and press insert after if I find the, there we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and drag this down into the center-ish, and now I can go ahead and duplicate this, rotate 45 degrees. Well, actually it's more than that, it's going to be 90 degrees, like so. And now I can go ahead and just hit Shift D if it would work. Seems like it doesn't, so I'm just going to rotate it 180 and duplicate it again. Drag it. It needs to be 375. My maths is not right here. Sorry about that. I just woke up. Alright. Okay, so that's done. Actually, I'm just going to round this off 270. So we added them bits in, okay, and that looks pretty good. So if I just turn back on our threads and move this into the right place, I'm going to go ahead and group these together. Just name it thread wheel. I'll just name it bits for now. And all of these can come together into one group, modify center pivot. And I'm just going to go into my front view. And we're going to go ahead and line this up roughly at the right place. So I'm going to move it around here. So the inner piece can come here, and then the inner piece can go to that side. Okay. And that looks pretty good. I'll go and move it just a tad. Alright, so that piece is created, and I will see you guys in the next part where we go ahead and make the inner piece of this and then the inner piece. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the next part.